YouTube. How's everyone doing? Jags the Richest, James Peters, thank you all so much for your time. Boston Celtics off-season weekly news update, and actually a few stories that broke throughout this week. So we do have a few different things to discuss. I'll be honest, right out the bat, I promised myself that I was not going to make any more videos around the Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant, anything else. I had covered it multiple videos. I had reiterated my points several times over. I said I'm not doing shit else around that story unless a trade happens. However, this just keeps getting better and better. It's just, this is like a damn, this is too good not to cover. So we'll discuss everything going on with the Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant, a big update, which I think, comes to the surprise that none of us, when you hear what it is, the Boston Celtics actually made a few additions to the roster this week, strengthening up that front court. So we'll go over that and actually talk about what it means for the roster and rotation overall, and what moves or needs are still needed after actually making these two additions. And other than that, guys, the only other thing I want to start with is saying RIP to the great Bill Russell. Sadly, Bill Russell did pass away. I'm sure all of you know, at the age of 88. It was reported that he did pass away, lying next to his wife, with his family. And again, nearly at 90 years old, and the life that he lived and what he was, both on and off the court, may we all be so lucky and leave a legacy that'll, last forever. As I said, legends live forever. So rest in peace to Mr. Russell. My condolences and prayers to his family. But moving on, guys. So again, Jaylen Brown, where are we at with this? As you all know, it originally came out that now all of a sudden Jaylen Brown is being reported to be traded to Kevin Durant for Derek White and some picks, and the Nets said no, and they countered and they wanted Smart, and obviously that's kind of where we were left at. And then about a week later, Shams comes out and is like, well, actually, that is, old news, and it may not be that deep. It seems like the Celtics just did what every other damn team in the league did when they found out KD was available, called, just to inquire, and that was pretty much it, right? But of course, Brooklyn leaks it. We talked about their reasoning why, but and that was pretty much it. We were at a standstill. Jaylen Brown shaking his damn head, but here we are now. In the new update, which originally came from Heavy.com, Steve Bulpett, is that Jaylen Brown may not have been offered for Kevin Durant. Imagine that. Now, in his article, like I said, this is off of Celtics blog. I'm reading it right here. But in his article, it's basically, first, it's suggesting that Jaylen, that it's essentially being disputed that proposal was ever on the table, as you see right here. Others have disputed too heavy that such a proposal was ever truly on the table. But it says his report seems to suggest that Boston is not only out of Durant's sweepstakes, but are possibly unhappy with how Brooklyn has conducted business. And it basically goes on to cite how there's other teams that are, essentially not happy with the facts that how everything is so publicized. Anything that they speak to them about, it finds its way out into the tabloids. And again, guys, we discussed what this whole thing was about. We called bullshit from the get-go, and there was a consensus in the comment section that it was bullshit. And the reason being, we asked ourselves right off the bat, why would Boston even want to do this? Why would a team that was 2 wins away from a championship and was, we don't need to list the credentials of last season, the incredible, accomplishments that they made both as a team and a bunch of individuals, with Tatum first team and Rob and Al, and all of the doubters that were proven wrong, a historic midseason turnaround. Why would they go and break up or blow up or do anything to this core that is of a similar age and signed under similar contracts? The timeline, is, and then when you look at the moves that they have made since the trade deadline into the offseason, bringing in Derek White, and then going and getting Gallo and Malcolm Brogdon to go with a core that has not been touched. And if you look at it, has played their entire careers together with Smart, Brown, Tatum, Rob, Grant. These guys have played their entire careers together, gone on multiple ECF runs, a finals run now. You know, Tatum grew into a first-team All-NBA player, Brown an All-Star, Marcus Smart, Defensive Player of the Year, Rob All-Defense. I mean, Grant was a guy that we didn't even know would be on the damn team coming into this year, into what he is now. You know, one of the better 3-and-D. I mean, Al Horford, everyone thought was washed and was absolutely sensational to what we did on both ends, especially defensively. I mean, remember him in that Milwaukee series going up against Giannis? Lord have mercy. My point is, guys, is we knew going into the damn offseason that no major moves were needed. We were talking about signing Pat Connaughton and Patty Mills, for Christ's sakes. And obviously they went out and outdid themselves, as Brad has continued to do, trusting Brad and Ime. So my point being, it's like, again, we called bullshit from the beginning because we knew it was unnecessary. We thought that this was Brooklyn simply doing this to, you know, reignite the KD trade discussion because it had kind of gotten stalled, you know, a little stale. It had been weeks since anyone talked about it, and to simply strengthen up the value. You know, again, they could easily say, oh, well, Boston offered us Jaylen Brown. You got to do better, which now, again, Brooklyn, if this really is, you know, how things have unfolded, it isn't a good look. It does look extremely unprofessional because, again, I said it before, that's a hell of an argument to be able to say, well, shit, they offered us Jaylen. That's a good, but now it's like, well, did they? You know what I mean? That Miami or Phoenix or Toronto, what other team? So again, guys, I'm at the point now, the only other thing that is being reported is that it's looking like KD is going to essentially go back to Brooklyn, or is meeting with the ownership, which I think he ends. We've been talking about him going back to Brooklyn, which is, you know, no one was going to pay that price, you know. I mean, especially after like the Rudy trades, and you see all these firsts being thrown out for those guys. So you know that whoever's wanting KD is going to have to give up all the first and a really strong package. And no one was doing that for a guy that's 34, you know, and all the baggage that comes with him, as great as he is, you know, all-time great, but still, especially the Celtics and where we're at, we didn't need to do that. So again, I think he just goes back, you know, to, I mean, Kyrie, Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, you know, Joe Harris. I mean, Patty Mills off the bench. I mean, they, you know, Cam Thomas, they've got a solid, you know, squad, you know, so why not go back there, run it back, and, you know, essentially see what happens. You know, they have an extremely strong, you know, core of players. If they could just get their asses together here, you know, who knows? But again, Jaylen Brown, it's been reported that he's happy with Boston. He was shaking his head at all you silly ass people for believing that this was a real story, because I'm sure Brad and Ime called him up immediately and was like, yeah, this is bullshit. But anyways, guys, on to some other news. The Boston Celtics would sign 2 players this week. One actually being Noah Vonleh. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Now, Noah is one of those guys, 26 years old, 6'9", 6'10", a front court addition. He was the 9th pick in the 2014 draft, top 10 pick. Now, as you can see, I'll scroll down his career right here. Played with quite a few teams: Charlotte, Portland, Chicago, Denver, Brooklyn, Minnesota. But if you'll look right here, this is the 2018-2019 season actually was his best, where he would average just over 8 points, at about 8.5 points, but would also average, you know, just under 8 rebounds and damn near 2 assists as well. So strong year, 8-8. Actually started in 57 out of 68 total games for the Knicks, while averaging right around 25 minutes. Now, last year, he wasn't actually in the NBA. He did play for the Shanghai Sharks. Now, the other addition would be Bruno Caboclo, excuse me again if I'm mispronouncing. And, I mean, again, what an almost identical story. The exact same age at 26, nearly the same size at about 6'9"-ish. And he actually was the 20th pick in the same draft, 2014. Now, again, just like Noah, has played for several different teams, including Toronto, Sacramento, Memphis, Houston. And if you look at his best year, was the 2018-2019 year with Memphis. He started in 19 out of 34 games, right at about 24 minutes, and he averaged a little over 8 points at about 8.3, just under 5 rebounds, a little under 2 assists, but he actually shot 37% from 3 on just under 4 attempts. Now, again, like Noah, he did not play in the NBA last year. He actually was the Brazilian League MVP. Now, Noah is, I believe, signed to a 1-year deal, whereas Bruno is going to be on a training camp contract. Now, both of these guys, just right off the bat, I would be surprised if both of them end up making the team, to be honest. If I'm looking at both of them, I would probably lean towards Noah as the stronger out of the two. I've seen some of his tape, high flyer, excellent rim runner. I mean, his alley-oop lob threat, like, ooh, man, brilliant. So, and especially he's had some success. That's a strong year in New York. 8-8, 25 minutes, started more games. I mean, more than half of the games he played in. So, only 26 years old, was a former top 10 pick. I mean, but then again, Bruno, we've seen him as recent as Summer League, was an MVP in the league he was in last year. Say what you want about the competition, but he had some flashes in Summer League. I was watching some of those highlights, so go check them out. He actually, again, man, we'll have to see. To me, it's one of those things where I get why Brad's doing this. In fact, I like the signings. It kind of sets up an extremely intriguing training camp battle when you start thinking of, Luke Cornett, Fiondu, and then obviously these guys, Noah and Bruno. I still think that we are another strong big man, a more proven big man away. We've talked about the same guys, Whiteside, Montrezl Harrell, LaMarcus Aldridge, etc. I still think eventually Aaron Baines, whoever, one of those guys still need to be brought in, because when I still think of the fact of if a Rob Williams goes down, then you're talking about what? A Luke Cornett, a Fiondu, a Noah. I mean, one of those guys are going to be the next man up. Especially when you get deeper into the playoffs. Now, again, I understand the Celtics can go smaller now with, bringing in Gallo and Brogdon or whatnot. So they're going to be able to stagger Al and Rob. But again, if one of those two gets hurt, if Rob is injured, and Al Horford is turning 36, 37, whatever it is, it's kind of like, you see where I'm going with it. Again, I still think that they'll probably enter. There's still several open roster spots, plenty of, maneuvering that's still available. And we still got 2 more months to actually go before the season, gets up and going again. So again, guys, I'm not against either one of these signings. 2 additions to the front court, 2 guys to bring into the training camp to battle with some of our other bigs. I'm very intrigued by Luke Cornett and obviously Fiondu. So we'll kind of see. I would expect Noah to end up, Noah Vonleh to actually end up making the team. But one other thing I want to point out is I'm hearing that our man Matt Ryan might actually be out, just based on the fact that, both our 2-way contracts are filled up with JD Davison and Fiondu Cab. But again, with those several openings, does he potentially fill up one of those? So the last thing I heard was he could potentially be out. That's something to actually look into a little bit more, because coming off of his summer camp his summer league performance, he was definitely someone, I have my eyes on. But other than that, guys, the only other real updates is that the Boston Celtics are currently ranked number 1 in the power rankings. Shout out to our Boston Celtics. That's pretty much it, guys. Again, kind of slow right now in the summer. It seems like this Jaylen Brown and Kevin Durant, saga is finally coming to a close. And thank God, because, we've all been sick of this for quite some time. We were shaking our heads right alongside Jaylen. So hopefully everything can, we can move forward and, be done with all this trauma. It baffled me that we were even going into this after how successful last year was, and the moves that were made in the position that this team was in. I thought that, we were prepared and positioned to really challenge and make a strong case. We were literally ranked and listed as #1. It's like, what the hell more do we want or need? So again, guys, thank you all so much for your time. If anything big breaks, obviously, I'll come back with an update. But if not, I'll touch bases with you all next weekend. Thank you all so much for your time. Have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.